That's what makes this whole crisis very different from even 10 years ago, because technology has changed so much. It has the power for businesses to continue in a crisis of this magnitude. This would not have been possible. I mean, you know, talking across satellites, talking to each other across the internet. In fact, we've got the CEO of Cisco, one of the greatest technology companies in the world, and I will say that whether or not they were sponsoring this program, but I want to be clear, they are sponsoring it, and it's great to have them with us because technology is important. But could you give us 2 or 3 examples of how technology can help in a crisis like this?
Yeah, and you know, thanks Dr. Roy for giving us this opportunity to talk. But you know, in most other crises like this, or even if you had floods, for example, or you had SARS, like you mentioned, I think some of these things were limited to a particular region, right? It was never the kind of scale that we are seeing on this pandemic, which is like global in nature, right? 190 countries. So, you know, typical business continuity plans are based on a premise that, you know, you'll have one city or one state or one country impacted, but you could move your business to be handled from another country, another city, or another state. This doesn't work in this environment. So I think, you know, the kind of challenge that we are seeing right now is unprecedented, a word which is probably being used very often in this. But just to give you a few examples, right, if you look at the IT BPO sector, right, or the ITES sector in India, which kind of employs around 4.5 million people and generates close to $190 billion of business. You know, there were some regulatory issues which did not allow folks to actually work from home, right? So it was a massive safety issue if people in large numbers continue to work in office. So we actually had, you know, worked very closely with the Department of Telecom and with NASSCOM and Department of IT, etc., to kind of relax these norms. And again, to use the word unprecedented, they kind of did the relaxation in less than 2 and 2.5 days. And today, pretty much, you know, I would say a large proportion of that 4.5 million people in that industry are actually working from home based on solutions from Cisco, Microsoft, and the others. In fact, you know, 70,000 of our employees are working from home, pretty much all of them. The second area that we are seeing probably a lot of use of technology is education, right? So if you look at it, you know, I think the UN report says school closures have impacted nearly 1.5 billion students worldwide. You know, we are helping these institutions use Cisco WebEx to help students in schools like Indus. Most of the IITs are using it now. ISB is using it. Of course, you've seen enough and more examples of healthcare where you know, Bombay Municipal Corporation is using Cisco video conferencing and other facilities to do this stuff. And lastly, I think the adoption by leaders around the world is kind of something that we've been very pleasantly surprised with, right? So the G20, the G7, Prime Minister Modi talking to SAARC leaders, all of this is happening over technology and adoption of digital and video communications, which we've never seen before.